Hi, I'm certified life coach Dewan J of the High Vibrations Only platform. What you're about to watch is an open coaching session that was actually filmed on TikTok. I pray that the information in the video that you're about to watch will inform, inspire, and ignite you to become the best version of yourself. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button so that you're abreast of all future content coming from me. I'll see you in there. Let's go. I'm excited about this series actually because a lot of times we see people on social media, we see the motivational speakers, we see the coach, and they'll drop just the tidbits, right? They'll drop the tip of the iceberg in terms of information that they have, and they'll tell you to buy a class, buy a session, book, or whatever, and I'm excited because on this platform, we don't believe in gatekeeping, right? When we come here, we believe in giving, being transparent, being hot, right? Being humble, open, and transparent in terms of information that we have. And in this series, Fit to Fight, in this series, we're talking about your mental and your emotional fight, but we're taking the literal fight game. Birdie, what's happening? We're taking the literal fight game and drawing parallels to how we can apply this to our lives. And in part one, in our license to fight, we talked about what that application process looks like and how that applies for your life. So now that we have decided to fight, now that we've filled out the application and we've submitted it to the governing body, right? God, karma, the universe, the turtle, the tree, whatever it is. Now we have to get in shape. Because once you've applied to fight, you can't be considered a fighter unless you actually have had a fight, be that on the amateur level. Oh, congratulations on the level. Be that on the amateur level, be that on a professional level, whether you're a contender, UFC, Doc has contributed to the live goal. Let's go. And congratulations on the level. Let that double a round of applause. We now must get in shape to fight. Because if we don't condition ourselves for the fight, and we can have all of the motivation, all of the drive, all the willpower in the world, but if we don't condition ourselves to fight, then we are in for disappointment. We're in for another heartbreak. We're in for another setup, right? Let me introduce you to a man named Forrest Griffin. Now, for those of y'all who follow the fight game closely, Forrest Griffin is an MMA fighter, a former light heavyweight champion, and a UFC Ultimate Fighting Championship Hall of Fame inductee. He is a New York Times bestseller 2 times. And he has, by all rights and imagination, literally used the work of his hands to propel and to reach a legacy that most of us attempt to strive on that's parallel. Forrest Griffin had lost 2 fights back to back. Right? He had lost 2 fights back to back, and this set him up for a setup fight against Shogun Rua. And going into this fight, Forrest Griffin was an underdog in the fight, and nobody really gave him a chance. He was supposed to be a warm-up fight so that Shogun can go and fight Rampage Jackson for the light heavyweight championship later on in the year. Forrest Griffin stunned the world by defeating Shogun Rua with, he choked him out. And this sets up a fight between Forrest Griffin and Rampage Jackson for the light heavyweight title. Now, in this fight, going into it, Griffin again found himself as being the underdog. And when this happens, he, instead of feeling some type of way about it, instead of getting inside of his feelings about it, instead of being upset about it, he turned that into fuel for his fight. When people don't have faith, you must turn that into fuel for your fight. Okay. Now, when Forrest Griffin got into the ring with Rampage, he outstruck him by over 40 strikes, right? He out-hustled him. His footwork was better. And it was unanimously decided that he should be the champion. And so he took that fight by unanimous decision. Shortly after that, when he turned 33 years old, Mickey, what's happening? When he turned 33 years old, he decided that he was going to retire. And shortly after that, he wrote his first New York Times bestseller. And then he wrote another New York Times bestseller, and then it was announced that he was going to the Mixed Martial Arts Hall of Fame. There are a few points that I'd like to pull from Forrest Griffin's story. Okay. The first point that I like to pull is that he was considered an underdog going into his setup fight because he had lost 2 fights prior. And it's now, for those of y'all that brought your notebooks to here, put this in a point. Your recent history doesn't mean that you can't recover. Your recent history does not mean that you cannot recover. When we are deciding that we're going to fight and we are deciding that we are going to take a stand and actually swing back at some of the problems that are ailing us in life, a lot of us disqualify ourselves before throwing a punch because of recent history. A lot of us say that my judgment is glitched. A lot of us say that my intuition is damaged. A lot of us say that my pride is hurt. And as a result, we disqualify ourselves before we even get into the ring. But today, we have to decide that if we're going to train to fight, and this is going to be a fight that's going to be substantial, a fight for our future, a fight for our destiny, a fight for our focus. Once we figure out that we're going to fight, we've applied the application. In other words, we have something invested now. So now it's important that we recognize that our recent history does not mean that we cannot recover. The second point that I want to pull out of his story is that when he was labeled an underdog again, even though he had just choked out one of the top fighters in the world, when it was time for the belt, nobody gave him a chance. Nobody gave him a chance. Put this in a point. Understanding who you are will always overcome underestimation. An understanding of who you are will always overcome an underestimation. What does that mean? It means that the people around you, or the people who have been around you in the past, will oftentimes not believe in your vision, in your purpose, in your destiny, in you achieving what it is that you've attempted to achieve by simply your past, or by simply you failing before, or by simply your past behaviors, or simply your decision making up until this point. They don't believe you until success actually comes your way. But if you understand yourself, yesterday we just talked about it, right? That external validation and not needing it, right? We need to self-evaluate and self-validate. So when you understand who you are, and you understand that your vision and your purpose is necessary, and you understand that your vision and your purpose is valid, once you understand that your peace, your happiness, your prosperity, your peace, your purpose, once you understand that these things are valid and you have validated yourself, you can overcome any hater. You can overcome any unbeliever. You can overcome any naysayer. You can overcome anything that's telling you that you cannot get this done, because I know what is inside of me. And oftentimes when we look introspectively, we find out that I understand. Claudio, what's happening? I understand that what and who's in me is greater than anything outside here in the world. But it must come with that belief in self. And once I understand that I am a conqueror, once I understand that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God, once I fully understand that I'm connected to source, whatever it is that your belief system is, once I validate my purpose, once I validate my vision, once I validate that what I am doing is the right thing and in alignment with my purpose, there is absolutely nothing that can stop me. You can underestimate me all you want to. You can mark me as an underdog all you want to. You cannot believe and want to jump on this train until you see some fruits of success if you want to. That just lets me know where I need to put you in my life. How dare you sit around me and claim to love me and don't believe? How dare you sit around me and claim to love me and not pour into me? How dare you? Forrest Griffin, he jumps in there and he's like, people are counting me out, but I got to keep swinging, to the point that he outstruck the champion. People are doubting me. So I got to be quicker. I got to be faster. I got to be stronger. I got to be smarter, right? Here's the thing. You are smarter. You are bigger. You are stronger. You are quicker, and you are more skilled than anything in your life that has ever tried to hold you down. But until you believe it, it doesn't matter. It's inconsequential. It's inconsequential until you believe it. So I have to get this fullness of self. I have to understand myself. I have to understand what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are. I have to understand where I need to set boundaries. I need to understand where I need to be a little more humble. I need to understand where I need to exercise a little more empathy and grace. But when it comes to being empathetic and when it comes to exercising grace and compassion, oftentimes we need to look in the mirror and exercise that to ourselves first and train ourselves on how to offer it to other people. We employ grace wrong. We employ empathy wrong. In society, there's no wonder why we can't get ahead, because we're more empathetic to everybody else's situation than we are our own. We're more careful about other people's feelings than we are about sparing our own. We're more giving to other people than we are our own cause, our own society, our own community, our own household, our own responsibilities. Everything comes before us. But these people are the same people. These situations are the same situation. These problems are the same problems that are weighing you down. These problems are the same things that's got you marked as an underdog. So when I get in, I have to throw strikes. I have to throw strikes. I have to throw punches and bunches. I have to get in here and I have to outstrike my opposition. What does that look like? It means instead of allowing the problem or the attack to come to me, I'm going to take the fight to it. I have to get a little gangster about it. I have to put the black hoodie and the Timbs on. I got to kick in some doors if I have to. Wow, Bill contributing to the last one. I have to kick in some doors if I have to. I have to make my own opportunities. I have to put myself in position to win. But if I sit on my hands, I can't win. If I don't take a stand, then I can't win. If I don't get the heart for it and have the endurance to finish in the late rounds, then I can't win. Yes, I am underestimated, but yes, I also understand myself, and I know that I am more than a conqueror. I know that everything that has ever come against me, I have defeated, and I gotta take some kind of joy in that. I gotta take some kind of confidence in that. I gotta sit and roll my shoulders a little bit to that. I gotta put a little swag on my steps for that. The next thing I want to take out of this story is after he defeats Quentin Rampage Jackson, Forrest Griffin then becomes the champion in unanimous decision. In other words, there was some undeniability to take place there. When you win unanimously, that means that every judge saw it the same way. Everybody looking saw it the same way. And no, it's not your responsibility to make believers out of people, but it's your responsibility to show up as the best version of yourself. And if you are losing your fights because you're being outworked, then there's some accountability that has to take place. If life is going to beat me down, it's because the situation was too much for me to handle. If people are going to hold me down, it means that they have to outwork me. And I dare you to outwork me, Tiny Dineys from Wild Bill. Let's go. I won't be outworked. So if you do beat me, it won't be because you outworked me. It'll literally be because you're better. But with God on my side, put this at a point. Proof of purpose is perfected in the fight. Proof of purpose is perfected in the fight. Okay. And here's for the people out there who are unsure if they're walking in alignment. Here's the people out there who are unsure if purpose and peace can ever come to their doorstep. Here's for the people out there who are unsure if happiness is in the cards for them. Miss One of One, how are you? Here's for the people out there who are unsure if purpose and peace and happiness and joy is in the cards for them. The answer is yes, but you have to get into the fight. You have to get into the fight. If you're not in the fight, then no, none of these things are for you because you have not taken a stand to go out and achieve these things. Your proof of purpose is perfected in the fight. So once I walk into the octagon, now here's all of the things that I've gone through, all of the tears that I cried late at night by myself. All of the nights that I had to cuddle pillows because my bed is empty and cold. All of the nights where I wanted to call somebody, but I didn't trust them to handle my situation. All of the nights where I'm driving home from work and I'm not even sure if the job is worth it because the boss is making sexual advances because the boss is making advances at me, because I'm looked at as a piece of meat, because I continue to be objectified, because every DM that I open is a, hey, ma, and your assets look nice. Every time that these things hit me and they hit my self-esteem and they hit my self-worth, and I ask myself, is this all that I'm good for? Is there more? I'm tired of toxic relationships. I am tired of people talking about me. I am tired of being stabbed in the back. I am tired of fake friends. I am tired of fake love. I am tired of having to prove myself. I am tired of feeling like I'm not good enough, not pretty enough, and not qualified enough. I am tired of going through these things by myself, but I'm telling you right here, right now, the proof of your purpose is once you get into the fight. The proof that you're valuable comes as a result of the fight. The proof that you are qualified enough comes as a result of the fight. The proof that you are smart enough and worthy and willing and qualified to stand in these rooms come as a result of the fight. Forrest Griffin went into the fight as an underdog. Nobody gave him a chance, but he left that night with the belt. His suitcase was a little heavier because he was carrying championship gold. So what does your championship look like? Does it look like a happy, healthy family? Does it look like wholesome relationships with friends? Does it look like finally setting boundaries for your toxic family members? Does it look like cutting people out of your life that mean you no good? Does it look, what does your championship look like? I need you to envision that. And I need you to make a decision to fight for it. Because whether or not you're in alignment, whether or not you have a purpose, whether or not these things are destined or in your cards, the proof of it is in the fight. Debo, what's happening? The proof of it is in the fight. So Griffin then, he won the light heavyweight championship belt, and he decided that after he lost the belt that he was going to retire. So he retires, and then he writes a bestseller and wrote another bestseller. And now we're talking about him today because he was inducted into the Fight Hall of Fame. Put this in a point. Leave when there is nothing left to prove. Leave when there is nothing left to prove. A lot of us find ourselves in unnecessary fights. A lot of us can't set boundaries because we'd rather be right. A lot of us want to continue. A lot of us want to continue to hit dead horses. A lot of us want to continue to drive the point home. A lot of us want to just add on top of it because the truth of the matter is that we're hurt. We're hurt at people underestimating us. We're hurt that friends and family always want a discount when they know that my business is barely off the ground. We're hurt when we continue to get cheated on. We're hurt when our husbands or our wives are continuing to abuse and step on our boundaries and treat our hearts like punching bags. We're hurt when this happens. Solo, what's happening? We're hurt when this happens. But when there's nothing left to prove, leave. And good enough is going to have to be good enough. What does that look like? It looks like letting go of friends because you're done proving your ego. You're done proving that you're loyal. You're done attempting to prove that you don't fail. You're only serving your ego. When you've declared victory, when you've proven that you were right, when you're proving that you are the person that you are, or when you have proven that you're good enough, when you're proving that you're qualified enough, when you've conquered things that nobody gave you a chance to conquer, once you do these things, it's time to find something else to do because staying in that place is only serving your ego and it's stunting your growth. It's stunting you becoming a better fighter. It's stunting your ability to see about the fight that's coming. Because look what happened in Forrest Griffin's story. He lost 2 fights. He got a setup fight where they kind of threw him to the wolves. He defeated the wolf. Next thing you know, he's in a championship fight. In other words, in your life, there's always going to be a fight. There's always going to be a fight. There's always going to be a bigger fight coming. There's always going to be something else coming. And we have to condition ourselves for the something else. We have to condition ourselves for the big fish that's coming. We have to condition ourselves for the championship fights that's coming. What's the difference, you might ask? In MMA, what happens is a standard fight is 3 5-minute rounds, but a championship fight is 5 5-minute rounds. In other words, I'm going to have to train my strength a little more. I'm going to have to put time under tension a little bit more. I'm going to have to train my cardio a little bit more. I'm going to have to figure out how to grasp things when they're sweaty, when things are slipping out of my palm. Oh my God. When things are slipping out of my palm. When my legs feel like they can't stand, when my heart is exacerbated to its greatest capacity, when my lungs are on fire because I can barely breathe, I have to train for conditions such as these. I have to train for conditions such as these because I am no longer going to live my life on a mediocre platform. I am no longer going to live my life accepting the things that continue to happen to me. I am no longer going to live my life accepting that this is good enough. I was born to be a champion. You were born to be a champion. You were born to be a winner. You were born to leave a legacy. You were born to fulfill a purpose and a destiny. You don't believe there's a purpose? Go back and watch yesterday's live. I proved it. Everybody on this planet has a purpose. Every situation that we find ourselves in is an opportunity to display exactly who you are. And because I know that another fight is coming, because I know a bigger fight is coming, because I know I'm going to have to defend this championship belt after I win it. Because I know these things, that's going to inspire me. That's going to keep me mindful and grateful of the blessings that are around me. This is what's going to keep me willing to train harder, longer, to get stronger. Why? Because I know that I'm going to have to defend, and it's going to take at least what I had to keep it. But then it's going to take just a little bit more because bigger fights are coming. And now that I'm more resilient, now that my cardiovascular is in a little better shape, now that I'm a little bit stronger, I can deliver more expensive and expressive and explosive drives. Now that I know, I have to train for it. Okay. You were born to be a fighter. Okay. You were born, right? We submitted the application last week and we're here, right? There's a process to your destruction. There's a process to sad situations that you find yourself in. There is a process, right? And usually what happens is, right, we talked about being a baby and how babies were rebels by nature. But what tends to happen is when we're under attack and life happens to us, what tends to happen is society, life, and people want to take our rebel spirit and reduce it to regular and eventually beat us into retreat. This is the attack. This is what these situations are doing. Here's what the depression is doing. Here's what the anxiety is doing. Here's what the procrastination is doing. Here is what low boundaries is doing. It's taking the rebel version of you, reducing it to being regular to eventually submit you or make you retreat. That's the process. Now we understand the strategy of the enemy. Okay, right? When we're getting ready to go and fight an opponent, we have to study the game tape. We have to learn the tendencies. We have to learn where the punches are coming from. We have to learn what the setup for the punches are coming from. We have to learn where these things are coming from so that we can best be in position to defend ourselves from it. So here's what happens, right? You started out as a rebel. You started out as a fighter. You fought to learn how to talk and communicate effectively. As a baby, you fought to learn how to talk. You fought to learn how to eat. You fought to learn how to walk. You fought to learn how to feed yourself and fend for yourself as a baby. But the situations in life have begun to beat the rebel out of you. Heartbreak begins to beat the rebel out of you. Your innocence being manipulated away from you. Your innocence being manipulated away from you. Your innocence being beat out of you. Your voice being canceled. All of these things have taken that rebel and reduced it to regular. And at regular, you're saying, okay, I have just enough to get by. I have just enough to make things happen. I have just enough to make ends meet. And eventually what happens is if we continue to stay and maintain the status quo, if we continue to stay on the level that we're on, if we continue to just get by and say this is going to have to be good enough, we're eventually going to end up retreating. Kirby contributing to the we're eventually going to end up retreating. Don't allow that rebel to become a retreater. We have to train. And after we watch After we decide, okay, this is going to be my first fight, now we have to identify the fight. And I really hope and pray that you guys brought your notebooks today, because what I'm getting ready to drop some bars. Okay. I'm getting ready to drop some bars. We're about to take these styles of fighting and we're going to apply them to our life, right? What type of fight are you actually in? Put this in a point. Knowing the rules gives you responsibility while releasing freedom. Knowing the rules gives responsibility while releasing freedom. What does that mean? Well, before I sign a contract to fight with anything or against anybody, I have to know what the rules are. What are the stipulations? What are the regulations? And that's going to give me a sense of responsibility. My responsibility in this is to know where I need to train. I may be going up against depression, and the rules are anything under the sun. I may be going against anxiety, and the rules are stepping outside of my comfort zone or stop fearing certain situations. I may be going up against the need for external validation, and the rules are don't allow things to play upon my vanity. Right? What are the rules? Some of us like to box. Boxing, you're only using your hands. Right? You need to train your cardio. You need to train your legs to be able to stand, but you're only using your hands. Okay. And this is a battle with producing. This is a battle with allowing your hands to produce anything of fruit. This is a battle with you attempting to strategize things and your hands not being able to do it. This boxing represents the procrastination battle. It represents the lackadaisical battle. It represents the laziness battle, where I have to be able to do something with my hands. The next type of fighting is wrestling. And wrestling is primarily won by grip and leverage. This represents decision making. It represents decision making, right? What type of grip can I get on these concepts, on these ideas, on my vision, on my purpose? What type of leverage can my creative thinking and critical thinking mind come up with and create? What type of leverage what do I have that I can leverage to my benefit? What do I have that I can try and pin down that's going to be to my benefit? Kickboxing / Muay Thai. It's all about striking. This is a battle with assertiveness. This is a battle with assertiveness. Muay Thai and kickboxing are all about striking, whereas if you are not throwing the punches, you will be knocked out. The point system rarely comes into play when it comes to kickboxing. Somebody's always getting finished. Same thing with Muay Thai. I have to become assertive about my fight. I have to become assertive about my boundaries. I have to become assertive with my nose. I have to become assertive with the balance that I'm maintaining in my life. I have to become assertive about my moral code. I have to become assertive about my faith. I have to become assertive about my children. I have to become assertive about my friends, my family. I have to become assertive, because if I am not on the offensive, that automatically puts me on the defensive, and that defense is trying to take me from rebel to retreater. Okay. Judo. Judo is a martial art that's based off of momentum. There's a lot of throws and trips involved in judo, in which the object is to use the momentum of your opposition against them. This is a momentum problem. This is where one good thing happens, but because our thoughts are so spread out, our thoughts are so spread out that we can't keep momentum. We don't recognize the power of momentum. We don't recognize the snowball effect. We don't recognize how a bunch of small victories translate into a larger victory. We don't realize how one small win turns into two, and then two turns to four, and then four turns to eight, so on and so forth. We fail to establish a pattern because our thoughts are too spread out. We fail to establish a pattern because we have no consistency and no continuity. We fail to establish a pattern that works for us because we continue to allow ourselves to be disrupted. I planned on studying the Bible, but This bikini thirst trap right here got me. I wonder if she got an OnlyFans. Let me go over here. I wonder if she's on the hub. Let me go in here. See. Now, instead of a highlighter and a pen and a notebook, I need some Kleenex and some lotion. And now I'm too tired to do what it was that I dedicated myself to do. Oh my! Instead of reading the book that I was supposed to read to expand my vocabulary, to expand my knowledge with what I'm working with, I'm opening up. I'm opening up text messages to see if James texts me, because I know that at 1:13 he's gonna text, "What are you doing?" And at 1:25 I'm gonna show up to his house, and at 2:30 I'm crying again, because he had no interest in filling my heart. He only wanted to fill my body. He had no interest in staying for a long time. He only wanted to stay for a good time. So at 2:13, now I'm regretting. At 3:40, I'm crying. I'm asking myself, how can I do this to myself? But because I'm not assertive, because I don't trust the people around me to not judge me based off of my decisions, I don't even want to pick up the phone and talk about it with anybody. So I deal with it by myself. And I am now on the defensive. And now that rebel is looking a little more regular. And that regular is going to turn into a retreater, all because I refuse to take the offensive. I refuse to keep the momentum. Instead of being mindful. When James texts at 1:13 in the morning, this is a good opportunity for me to hit this block button and find some gratitude and mindfulness and appreciate myself for the strength that I displayed when I left that situation in the first place. When I'm scrolling on Instagram and I'm trying to figure out if there's a hub site or an OnlyFans page, I can unfollow, because this is distracting from my purpose. And sometimes the most spiritual and the most disciplined and the most assertive thing that you could do is actually to remove people and remove things and remove situations that are taking attention away from your purpose. Selfless Locals in the building. What's happening? Sometimes the best fight that we can put up is removing things from our lives and removing people from our lives that are setting us up or that are distracting us from keeping the momentum going. You wonder why you're upset with yourself, because you continue to take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. You continue to take 2 steps forward and 10 steps back. It's because you don't keep the momentum. It's because you haven't placed yourself in a position and placed boundaries and people and situations around yourself that allow you to keep the momentum. So instead of looking at these things as temptations, and instead of recognizing these things as opportunities for excellence, as opportunities for improvement, opportunities for change, and embolden ourselves for the strength that we've displayed, and for the wisdom that we displayed, for the boundaries that we set, for the lack of tolerance of nonsense, instead of looking at these things as opportunities for excellence, we fall victim. We allow the momentum to be broken. Why are you always fighting an uphill battle? It's because you never push the boulder all the way up the hill so that it can roll down into the valley. Okay. Jiu-jitsu is a martial art that's based off of submissions. Okay. Submissions. Now, what does that look like? This is your depression battle right here. This is your anxiety battle. This is your loneliness battle. This is your mental illness battle. Truck, thank you for the follow. This is your mental illness battle. In jiu-jitsu. In jiu-jitsu, the object is for you to submit your opponent due to some hold or some pain put on some joint that's going to allow them to tap out before it's broken. Okay. Now, what tends to happen to us is that, bless Daniela, what's happening? Welcome back. What tends to happen to us is that in life, our arm is twisted. Right? It's twisted and it feels like that it's getting ready to snap because we refuse to take the fight back to it. A lot of times it seems like our leg is broken and we can't make any progress because it's in a bind and we don't take the fight back to it. A lot of the times our brain is in a bind because we refuse to step outside of our comfort zone and color outside the lines just a little bit to come up with a creative solution to our problem. A lot of the times our heart is in a bind because we have a type. Yeah. Over 6 foot with a six pack can go 6 inches deep. Listen, we have a type. And because we refuse to address it for what it is and acknowledge it for what it is and use our mind, right? That fearful, wonderful mind, that beautiful brain of yours up there that we only use 10% of, and we refuse to step outside of our comfort zone. Once we refuse to step outside of our comfort zone and accept the status quo, there is no changing of the pattern. So everybody that you come in contact with is a potential husband. Your body count that ran itself up to 116, but the next person's going to be your husband. Absolutely not. I need you to take a step back and start to value yourself a little bit. I need you to take a step back and make people earn your smile, earn your heart, earn your trust, earn your thoughts, earn your energy, earn your tears. And as a result, they'll earn your body after they've shown some consistency, some discipline, and some consideration for what you have in place already. It is time to fight back. Stop allowing society to beat you into submission by dressing itself up in a good-looking package. Stop allowing society to beat you into submission by dressing itself up as unqualification. Stop allowing society to beat you into submission by dressing itself up as a glass ceiling. Stop allowing society to beat you up and beat you into submission by camouflaging itself as loneliness that creates depression and that creates anxiety, that creates an imposter syndrome, that has me walking around feeling and using the things around me to disqualify me instead of figuring out why I need to be qualified to be in the ring. Real peeps. You don't want these problems. When we get into a place in which society has camouflaged itself, right? Once we get to a place, once society is allowed to sneak in and we refuse to change the pattern, we are giving up the limb. In jiu-jitsu, we're taught to look and take the right angle of approach. And then we encourage or incorporate a little judo in there where I'm going to use your momentum against you. I must always be looking for an opportunity to better myself. I must always be looking for an opportunity to change my patterns. I must always be looking for an opportunity to see if my boundaries are being maintained by those that claim to love me. I must always look in the mirror and tell myself that I am beautiful and I am bold. I am qualified to be in the rooms that I want to be in. I am worthy of love. I am deserving of love. I am qualified to reach the places that they said that I couldn't reach. I am coming for everything that I said that I can't have. And if I have to train 5, 10, 15 years to get into this championship fight, I am not going to waste my opportunity. I refuse to submit to something that is created the same way that I was created. I refuse to submit to another entity when I got God, karma, the universe behind me. I refuse to submit to something that is not bigger than me. In order for you scientists, for you atheists and you non-believers out there, let's put it in science. In order to destroy energy, oh yeah, that's right, you can't. But in order for energy, red or center, what's happening? In order for energy to be defeated, it must encounter an equal or a greater force moving at a higher velocity. In other words, so if I'm the same size as this problem, it has to have something else. It needs a tag team partner. They're going to have to jump me. What does that say? That says that I am stronger than I give myself credit for. I am smarter than I give myself credit for. I am more driven. I am more persistent than I give myself credit for. I have to look in the mirror and convince myself of these things, right? This is me training to fight. This is me throwing jabs. This is me shadow boxing. This is me running drills. This is me in the weight room. This is me on the treadmill. This is me doing my HIIT cardio in order to get fit to fight. Let me move. And then MMA. MMA is a collection of all of these sports put together. You have your boxing, you have your wrestling, you have jiu-jitsu, you have judo, you have your Thai, right? And this is your strategy and your planning. This is your strategy and your planning. Why? Because now I'm going to have to incorporate everything that I know into ensuring that my future is fruitful. I'm going to have to incorporate everything that I know to ensure that my future is favored. Why? Because I'm going to need my hands to produce. I'm going to need the momentum to stay driven, to stay motivated, to stay grateful, to stay mindful. I'm going to need the submission techniques so that I don't fall victim to them. I have to know exactly what they are and how to counter them, right? So here's my strategy and planning, and I need a detailed plan on how I'm going to get from A to B. I need a detailed plan on how I'm going to heal. I need a detailed plan on the type of man that I want so that I stop falling for suckers. I need a detailed plan on the type of woman that I want so that I'm not out here not living the biblical principles that I want, but saying that you want a Proverbs 31 woman. I'm talking to somebody right now. It is, you have to have indeed, and by this planning, by writing this out, by looking at it, Pedro, what's happening, my boy? By writing this out, by coming into and writing it out, you can see it. So now you can see if you are in alignment with what it is that you're requesting. I have to ensure that what I request, that I'm in alignment with first. And this comes with self-inventory. This comes with introspective look at self. Because I can't dare ask for anything that I'm not in alignment with. I can't dare ask for anything and expect to receive it if I'm not living life according to that thing. There's three elements to fighting. Okay? There's three elements to fighting. There's standing, clenching, and the ground. Standing, clenching, and the ground. Okay? The standing, right? This is your offensive. Here's where you set your boundaries. Here's where you establish your work ethic. Here's where you gain perspective. Right? This is where you gain perspective, you establish your work ethic, and you set your boundaries. Okay. Now, when I'm establishing my work ethic, right? I didn't have a live this morning, right? I didn't do the question of the day. It's Saturday, right? It's not scheduled, right? But I was still up at 3. I was still doing the first half of my morning routine. I still prayed. I still worshiped. 3 a.m. Right? Got up and did that. Right. And then I was able to go back to sleep because I didn't have a 5 o'clock live. Right. But what I'm saying is it's become so habitual that if I don't do it, then something's wrong. And your work ethic needs to be the same way. You need to wake up every day expecting to add something to your day, expecting to accomplish something, expecting to write a chapter in the book, expecting to record an episode of the podcast, expecting to be put yourself in a better position for a promotion, expecting to be a better husband, expecting to be a better wife, expecting to be a better mother, expecting to be a better family member. You need to wake up every day with something on your tasking list. And that way I wake up on purpose, in purpose, for a purpose. Oh, that's good. Put that in a point. I wake up on purpose, in purpose, for a purpose. I have to establish a work ethic to the point where it becomes habitual. I remember being back in high school, and there were days where I just wasn't feeling school. Right. There were days that I just wasn't feeling school, and I would skip school, and I wouldn't tell anybody. Right. I would just go downtown. I'd chill. I'd go see a movie. I'd go to McDonald's and hang out. I'd go through the mall. But school was so habitual that when I skipped it, I missed it. I missed it. Why? Because the things that I have known were there. The things that I've come to love were there. Some of the people that I've grown to know and love were there. In other words, I need to employ the same mentality to my work ethic to the point where if my hands don't accomplish something, I miss it. If I don't complete the things on my taskers list, I miss it. If I'm not doing something to become 1% better today than I was yesterday, I miss it. And I hold myself accountable for that, because if I am not working for me, nobody else can work for me. If I'm not working on me, nobody else can work with me. So I have to get to a point where my work ethic is habitual, where my work ethic is established. Anybody that knows me, that talks to me outside of this app, or even like in the chats on this app, they'll tell you. If you ask me what I'm doing, chances are I'm working. And if I'm not doing that, I'm fathering. Again, working. Right? My work ethic has become so habitual that I've become efficient at taking and robbing and stealing time back to myself, so that I live a span of 2 days. And I kid you not, I live a span of 2 days in about 16 hours. I'll take a client, get a workout. Oh, well, how can I fit? Okay, well, cool. You signed up for the fitness package. I was planning on working out at this time anyway. Would you mind if we adjusted your time to this time, so now I can work out and coach you at the same time? Guess what I just did? I saved myself an hour, 2 hours. Now I'm starting to take time back. Now I'm starting to put time back into my balance bank. I'm putting time aside, and I'm taking time back that allows me to do something that I actually want to do. Because my work ethic has become habitual. The second thing, your perspective. Your perspective. We get locked into one way of thinking or another way of thinking. We get locked into pre-existing beliefs and preconceived notions and things like that. 19, what's happening? Welcome in. Dougie, what's up? Welcome in. We get locked into one way of thinking. But the truth of the matter is if your perspective alone was good enough without any outside influence, would you be in the situation that you were in? Would you be in a situation in which you had to fight back against anything? The answer is no. So your perspective alone is not good enough. You need to make a well-informed decision. So in order for that to happen, I have to begin to put people and place people around me that I trust to go to with information. And if I can't trust you with information, then I don't need you in my life. And it's that simple. It is that simple. We have to begin to switch our wording and switch our thought process. Right? One of the most funny phrases, one of the funniest phrases that I've heard that people use. I get the intent behind this phrase, but the words are wrong. People say, "Don't treat me like an option." No. You are an option. You are here because I want you to be, not because I need you here. Right? So in other words, what the phrase should actually say is, treat me like I am your chosen option. Because what happens is when we treat people like a necessity, right? Now, in addition to a trauma bond, in addition to an attachment style that is unhealthy, right? We start to begin to identify these people. We begin to identify these people as necessities. And that's why, I don't know what I'm going to do. He left me. I don't know what I'm going to do, bro. She cheated on me again. Leave. You had a set of boundaries. You had a set of boundaries when you signed up for this relationship. You had a set of boundaries before you even met this person. You had a set of boundaries that was put into you. And your job is to be the best version of yourself so that you can provide the best and the highest vibrational version of yourself to that person. But the truth of the matter is, I don't need you here. I don't need you here, because if I wasn't going to the movies, going out to eat, if I wasn't going bowling, going hiking, doing the outdoor activities, the long walks on the beach, if I wasn't doing it with you, then I would be doing it with somebody else, because I would have chosen somebody else. So the fact of the matter is, you are an option. So we have to change our thinking. Fellas, if she wasn't doing that little thing with her hips to you, if she didn't, okay. All right, let me leave that alone. But the fact of the matter is, fellas, you are an option. But you must become the obvious option. You must work and ensure that your work ethic puts you in a position to become the obvious choice. You must make yourself undeniable. I talk about that on this platform all the time. Make yourself undeniable, right? There's 7 things for men, 10 things for women. Sorry, ladies, y'all got it a little tougher. But in order to place yourself and make yourself undeniable, there it is. Sarahi, thank you for the follow. Jay, thank you for the follow. If I embody the things that I need to embody and I make myself undeniable, right? Then leaving me is a business decision. Cheating on me is a business decision. Deciding to not have me in your life is a business decision. So our goal shouldn't be to not be treated like an option, because the truth of the matter is you are. You shouldn't want to be with somebody that needs you there, because that means that person's broken and they're not with you for you. They're with you for them because you possess some feature and some attribute. The PM is in the building. You possess some feature or some attribute that they lack in their lives, and that's what you're there for. And the minute that you serve that purpose, you're gone. Be careful. Be careful of who you align yourself with. And I'm not just talking about romantically here. I'm talking about friends as well. You have to be careful with who you align yourself with and who you spend energy with and who you share time with, because the truth of the matter is, if you need me, that means that you're broken and you're not ready for the type of love that I'm able to give. That means that you're broken and you're not prepared for the type of thoughtfulness and the type of consideration and the type of compromise that I'm willing to give. Being with somebody that needs you is, in fact, a red flag. I know that them red bottoms is getting tight right now. Okay, I know that them dunks are being scuffed right now, but this is the truth. This is the honest to God's truth. If you are with somebody that needs you, right? Like look at the word need for a second, right? And I'm talking perspective here, right? Don't treat me like an option. No. Treat me like an option, but treat me like the obvious option. Treat me like the undeniable option. Because if you need me, that means that sooner or later I'm going to have to sacrifice something. Because it means that I'm going to have to give something to you to fill that place in you, and that you're unable to reciprocate to me. Oh, let's go. Contributing to the live goal. That means that you're not going to be able to reciprocate to me when I need it, because I'm going to have to give of myself to. Okay, this, you know what? Monday, I'll talk about it. I'll talk about options for Coachable Moment Monday. Meg said, I don't need a particular person, but in order to be 100% me, I need someone to give that part of me too. Yeah, no, so I agree with that, Meg, but I don't need that person, right? A person I choose, okay? And I get that. Let's see, necessity. Indispensable, requisite, required for something to occur or exist. Yeah, if you weren't here, if you weren't here, I'd still be me. This is a plug and play. You're here because you're best suited. You're here because you're the most loved. You're here because you suit what I want. And it's crazy how we contradict it. Let me not get too far into this. I'm going to talk about this on Monday. Coachable Moment Monday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Pull up. We going in on this. The clinch game and the fight game is understanding and escape from submission. Okay. And so when we're fighting in boxing, right, you can't really grab anybody. So when they clinch, you know that they're tired. When they start to hugging each other and they're throwing these little baby punches to each other's back and it's not really doing anything, it's because they're tired. But in mixed martial arts, or in most martial arts, when something gets clenched, Doc Cass contributing to the live. When something gets clenched, right, it's because they're trying to set you up for submission. Now, with good boundaries, Oh my God. With good boundaries, you can understand when the clinch is coming by the way that the clinch comes, what type of submission you're being set up for, and you can have the means to escape it. So I ask you today, while you're training your clinch game, while you're training for your fight, what has a hold on you today that's trying to beat you into submission? What is it that has grabbed your wrist or grabbed your elbow or grabbed your shoulder and applied just a little bit of pressure that's trying to get you into submission? I have to be able to identify it so that I can counter it properly. What has a hold on you today that you need to identify factually so that you can counter it successfully? I have to master the clinch game and the ground game. And the ground game is important in mixed martial arts because most of the submissions that happen in mixed martial arts happen actually on the ground. I need you to put this in a point, okay? Failing or falling isn't fatal. Failing or falling is not fatal. And I need y'all to hear my heart on this because somebody needs to hear this. I felt it when I said it. Just because you fell or just because your fight is no longer standing up, it doesn't mean that the fight is over. Just because you've fallen and you've made mistakes in your life, it doesn't mean that the fight is over. Just because you're looking up at the lights, it doesn't mean that the fight is over. You still have moves to make from the ground that can give you the victory. You still have moves to make from the ground and you get points for escape. You get points for getting out of that situation. Just because you have fallen or just because you have fallen short of your mark, it does not mean that is fatal. It doesn't mean that your future is headed to the grave. It doesn't mean that your happiness is headed to the grave. It doesn't mean that your peace is headed to the grave. It doesn't mean that you're never going to find. It doesn't mean that you're never going to find that forever person. It doesn't mean that you can't find somebody to see you and to hear you and to understand who it is that you're going through. It doesn't mean that you have to give up on family. It doesn't mean that you have to give up on your children. It doesn't mean that you can't have another meaningful relationship. It does not mean that is fatal. Just because the fight goes to the ground, because I'm training to fight, I am training my escape. I am training submissions to work from my back. I am training a way to escape. I am training on how to use the momentum to my benefit. I am training with some mindfulness, some resilience. So I'm training with some strength. I'm training with some willpower. I am training with some gratitude to escape this submission that I'm attempting to being put into to give myself the most advantageous position so that I can win. But I have to realize first that just because I've fallen, just because I was tripped, just because I was slammed, I might be a little damaged and I might be a little injured, but I still got breath in my lungs. And as long as I have breath in my lungs, I promise I am going to fight. As long as there's breath in my lungs, I can still stand up. As long as there is breath in my lungs, I can still head towards purpose. As long as there's breath in my lungs, I have the opportunity to be a champion. I just need to train myself on what to do after I fall. Big boy, what's happening? I just need to train myself on what I'm doing after I fall. So learning the ground game in mixed martial arts is critical. It is crucial. Standing up is nice. You can be nice with your fist. You can be nice with your feet. You can be nice inside of a clinch and learn how to get your shots in while somebody's trying to put you into submission. But the most critical element of the ground game is the ground game. 93% of fights end up on the ground. And they only last about 120 seconds after they're on the ground. Do you have 2 minutes worth of fight in you today? Do you have 120 seconds worth of fight in you today? Do you have it in you to take a deep breath and recognize that just because you're on your back, it doesn't mean that you're headed to the grave? Do you have that in you today? Have you trained for this today? What have you done today to empower you to escape the submissive attempt of every situation? What have you done to train yourself, to equip yourself with the necessary skills to fight off of your back? Do you have 2 minutes? What are the elements of training? What, what are the elements of training? Cardio, strength, technical, and sparring. Cardio, strength, the technical aspect, and sparring. Okay. Now the cardio. Do I have the heart to fight? Do I have the breath and the room and the support to fight? My cardio is about my heart rhythm and what makes my heart beat and at what speed my heart is beating. Do I have, when I exert energy, does it get elevated? What type of oxygen is filling my lung? What is my oxygen saturation like? In other words, can I breathe? Have I taken a breath? Recognize and assess the situation and then train myself for greater cardio. Because I'm going to need this cardio for explosive strikes. I'm going to need this cardio for takedowns. I'm going to need this cardio for footwork. In other words, I'm going to need it to walk towards where it is that I'm trying to go. I'm going to need it to sidestep toxicity. I'm going to need it to sidestep gossip. I'm going to need it to sidestep backstabbing. I'm going to need it to sidestep disbelief. I'm going to need to strike back with self-affirmations. I'm going to need to strike back with some self-care, strike back with some self-love, strike back with some accountability, strike back with some willpower, strike back with some mindfulness, strike back with some realizing who I am. Even though I'm underestimated, even though nobody gave me a chance, I will be champion, but I have to have the heart for it. The next thing is strength. Okay, this is what happens. The power behind your blows, but it's not just offensive when you're training for strength, right? It's not just offensive. The strength actually prevents injury. It prevents injury because when you strength train and you're training the muscles, as the muscles get bigger, the tendons also get stronger, so that when small manipulations, the narcissists that I encounter, the people that only see me as a sex toy. The people who only sees me as a glorified babysitter. The job promotion who doesn't recognize my brilliance. That supervisor that's taking credit for all of my ideas and pitching them like they're their own. The people who come around me and I can give a piece of advice to, I can cause a laugh, I can call a smile, and it goes unappreciated. Yeah. These people, right? It stops the small manipulation from injuring me. Will it hurt? Yeah. Will it get a little tight? Yeah. Will it be a little uncomfortable? Absolutely. But because I have trained and I'm stronger now I know that I'm not going to have a long sustaining injury. And as a result of that, I don't have to fight hurt so that I don't go out and hurt somebody else. And strength training also makes you more limber. When we think strength training, we automatically think about lifting weights. But there's calisthenics. There's Pilates. Listen, y'all. I thought that I was strong until I went to my first hot yoga class. All right. And I took the advanced class. I'm like, yeah, I can go in here, do some poses, right? Like, and I mean, there's footage on the internet of me, 450-degree flips. Bow. I'm that dude. I'm kicking 6'5" dudes in the face. There's footage on Rihanna's internet right now. But can I tell you, the first time that I went to hot yoga, I thought that I was strong and I tried some of those lifts from those positions. And I was humbled quickly and assuredly. We had 105-pound women. Yeah, let me check out this handstand. I'm like, I could do that. Yeah, not so much. Right, but I had to train. I had to train to become more limber. I had to train to strengthen my core. I had to train to know when to breathe and how to breathe and how it was that I was going to execute that lift of myself. Something that I lift every day, but because it hit different and I wasn't trained to do it, because it hit different and I wasn't prepared to do it, because it hit different and I didn't have as much dexterity as I should have to execute that lift, I looked weak. I felt weak. I didn't complete the lift on the first day because I wasn't trained for it. Strength in one area and needing improvement in another area go hand in hand. right? When it comes to your strength, especially when it comes to the strength for your fight, especially when it comes to the strength for you attempting to fight for your life, for your purpose, for your destiny, for your happiness, for your peace, for your future, right? These strengths, it's a cumulative average. It doesn't matter that I can bench press 635 pounds if I can only squat, I don't know, the bar. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I can deadlift the front end of a Buick if I can only bench press 135 pounds. It doesn't matter. It's a cumulative average of how strong you are. And I need you to get that in mind, right? When it comes to resilience, when it comes to being able to regulate your emotions or your responses to your emotions, when it comes to setting your boundaries, when it comes to your triggers, when it comes to your overthinking, when it comes to your anxiety, when it comes to your perfectionism, when it comes to your loneliness, when it comes to your trust issues, when it comes to your mama and your daddy issues, when it comes to all of these things, I need you to be able to strengthen all of these things as they occur, because if you do not, then your cumulative average drops and you're not as strong as a person as you think that you are. Those are the facts. Climax, what's happening? The technical skills. I have to strengthen my technicalities, right? This usually is drills, right? In the fight game, is drills. In football, in most sports, it's drills. If I'm going to skill my technical skills, it's drill. In other words, I put myself in a situation that I can train to have a pre-planned response to. What does that look like? It looks like I don't like Becky. And if Becky pops off at me wrong on this Monday morning, I'm going to be laying holy hands. No, what is your pre-planned response? Why not say, hey, I don't really rock with the vibe of this lady. And if she's coming in my direction, I'm going to, I don't know, veer right. I'm going to talk to somebody else. Here's my pre-staged thing. That way I don't jump out of character. Because if I jump out of character, then my reputation takes the hit. If I jump out of character, I'm putting my job at risk. If I jump out of character, I'm embarrassing my children, my husband, my wife. If I jump out of character, then I discredit everything that I've worked for up until this point. So I need to stage these pre-planned responses. I need to be able to run drills. What happens when I get triggered by this? What happens when I get upset by that? What happens when I get angered by this? What happens when I get angered by that? What happens when I start to think of something sad? How can I pull myself out of the spiral so that sadness doesn't turn into depression? I need to have pre-planned responses, and I keep running these drills until it creates muscle memory. Because once muscle memory happens, now it's just automatic. Boom. Hey, I'm pissed. I told y'all about my index card before. You see me writing on the index cards, and you notice something has affected me in some kind of way, right? But that's just my pre-planned response. It's the first thing that I do. And on this thing, when I'm writing on this index card, I just write the emotion at the time that it happened. Now, when I get home to journal, you might be everything but a child of God. You know what I'm saying? You might be some thanks, but you never know it. And by writing it down immediately, I'm validating my feelings to my brain. I'm telling my brain that, hey, this matters. This is important. This matters. This is, I'm not ignoring you. I'm not silencing you. I am dealing with this, but right now is not the appropriate time. And your brain can deal with that. It doesn't feel to your subconscious that you're like everybody else in your life who shut your voice down, who've shut your feelings down, who've shut your opinions down. It's not like everything else. Okay. And then sparring, it very rarely happens in mixed martial arts, right? Except within, like, this may happen like 2 to 3 times a week, and only in the last 10 weeks prior to the fight happening, because sparring can hurt you, okay? And sparring looks like taking on the little problems instead of sweeping them under a rug and allowing them to grow into bigger problems. When you're sparring, it's important that you recognize that it's still a fight. It's a controlled one, but it's still a fight. And you have to practice, or you train the way that you fight, or you fight the way that you train, right? In other words, I'm going to spar. and put myself in design situations according to the research that I've done, according to the things that I have seen, the things that I've experienced. In other words, I'm going to put myself in situations or play out situations in my mind or in my journal or to a friend or to my husband or to my wife. I'm gonna start to play out these situations to myself because I need to see what they look like. I need to figure out what would happen. We do this all the time and we don't even realize it. Watch this. How many of y'all have been watching a TV show with somebody and you've seen something on the TV and you be like, nope, not me, because if that was me, I would have blah, 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 blah. You're sparring. But the problem is when we spar mentally and emotionally, we never go back to correct the deficiency. We never go back to correct the mistakes. And as a result, when that happens in real life, you don't do what you said. You end up getting knocked out. You end up getting submitted. And that's it. This is how you train to fight. Understand the type of fight that you're in, right? Let's do a recap real quick, and then I'll open it up for questions, comments, or concerns. All right, we talked about Forrest Griffin. We talked about how he lost 2 fights, right? Talked about how he lost 2 fights, and as a result, he went into a setup fight. They fed him to the wolves, and he shocked the world, right? And from that, we took the point. Recent history doesn't mean that you cannot recover. Okay, so he wins this fight, and this sets him up for a title fight against Rampage Jackson. He gets in the fight with Rampage Jackson, and he outstrikes him, right? But again, he went into that fight as the underdog, and from that, we took this point. Understanding who you are will always overcome underestimation. Understanding who you are will always overcome underestimation. And he went in there, he embraced the role, he outstruck Rampage. Right. And he ends up winning the belt by unanimous decision. And from that, we took the point. Proof of purpose is perfected in the fight. In other words, in order to figure out if I have the right purpose, if I have the right mindset, if I have the right mentality, I have to get into the fight to figure it out. And then I have to perfect it from there. Griffith announced his retirement, wrote 2 New York Times bestsellers, and ended up becoming a member of the Mixed Martial Arts Hall of Fame. And from that point, we put when there's nothing, or leave when there's nothing left to prove. Right. And then we talked about the attack that we're all under. We talked about the attack and talking about how you start out as a rebel. You start out somebody ready to fight against the status quo. Right. And how the attacks on your life want to take you from being a rebel, reduce you to being regular, and eventually beat you into retreat. And so this is the game plan. This is us watching the tape, right? Don't worry about it. Like some of us have been going through this and we couldn't as somebody that's healed, as somebody that's a coach, I can tell you this is the game plan. They want to take your rebellion, make it regular, and then submit you or beat you into retreat. That's the game plan. This is what all these situations are designed to do. Okay. So then we talked about what type of fight are you in? Jackie, what's up? Welcome in. Boxing, we talked about our hands, right? And this is when we have trouble producing. This is when we have a hard time with our hands producing what's in our heart and what's in our head. We talked about wrestling, how it's about grip and leverage, and that's really a decision-making thing. We talked about kickboxing and Muay Thai, striking of all kinds, your assertiveness towards your purpose, your assertiveness towards where it is that you're going. We talked about judo, how momentum, motivation, gratitude, all of these things play a part, and we can't get distracted because that puts a break in the momentum and we feel like we're going to be forever pushing the boulder up the hill. Then we talked about jujitsu, submission, right? We talked about your depression, your anxiety, loneliness, and mental illness. Then we talked about MMA and how the planning and the strategy of encompassing all of these other martial arts is going to make you a champion, right? So then we talked about your standing. Your standing is about you setting boundaries, your work ethic, and your perspective, right? Putting people around you whose perspective that you trust, and who's establishing a work ethic until your work ethic becomes habitual. And then we talked about establishing boundaries. We talked about what's in the clinch. Understanding the escape from submission, understand the type of attack that you're under and how they're going to grab you so that you know how to successfully counter and move out of that. Then we talked about the ground game, and we took the point from here. Falling or failing isn't fatal. In other words, we talked about the necessity of learning what happens after the fight goes to the ground and how to use the positioning and the cage and the environment to our advantage once the fight has gone to the ground. Then we talked about the elements of training, right? The cardio, the strength, the technical, and the sparring. Cardio is for your strikes, it's your swift takedowns and fast footwork, but it's also about your endurance. It's also about, do you have the heart to persevere? Do you have the willpower and the space and the opportunity to persevere? We talked about your strength. Here's the power behind your blows, but it also strengthens your tendons and prevents long-term injury, and it makes you more limber. Just think, Dewan in a hot yoga class and how I was humbled. All right. Your technical running drills, creating that muscle memory, having your pre-planned responses set for things that you know could be potential triggers is going to allow you to defuse and de-escalate situations, thus staying in character, thus staying productive. Okay. Then we talked about sparring and how it's still a fight, but it's a controlled fight, right? And how we have to get into these things and actually take a critical look at the things that we said that we would do if we was that other person. We've all said that once before. If I was you, I would have. Did you do that when that happened to you? No? Okay, shut up. Let's work. And that's it. That is being trained to fight. Next week in our series, we're almost done, y'all. This is only going to be a 4-part series, and I can't wait to talk about what we're going to talk about next, but I'll give that to you when it's time. Next week, we're going to talk about fight night. We're going to talk about fight night. We're going to talk about the pre-fight on fight night. And I can't wait to see you next week. I did not see any questions or comments or concerns in the chat. For those of y'all that are fresh here, that are new here, my name is Dewan J. I am a certified life coach. I'm about to celebrate my 9-year anniversary. We're probably going to drop a book on my 9th anniversary. Book 3's coming. Okay. That being said, we're probably going to drop a book on my 9th anniversary. Please go to the page, man. Engage in the content. Repost something. I guarantee you, everybody watching this right now, whether you're watching from the FYP or whether you're in the chat, there is something on my page that you can find that will resonate with you. Go in there, drop a comment for your boy, repost it, and yeah, man, let's tell the people that we're dropping bars, man, and we're attempting to change lives over here. Hit the merch link, right? We got jammies, we got t-shirts, we got cologne, we got glasses, we got highball glasses. I haven't drank out of that glass in a long time, actually. I got to bring that back. Hey, sorry, that's this is my favorite song right now. Yeah, now engage, man, and we will see you on Monday, Coachable Moment Monday. We're gonna talk about we're gonna be talking about being treated like an option. I'm gonna trigger some people, I guarantee it. But until then, I pray that you enjoy your weekend. I pray that you will take the vow to fight. Yeah, take the vow to fight. It's your life. You have the right to fight. You have the right to pursue purpose. You have the right to be heard. You have the right to be seen. You have the right to be heard. You have the right to be loved. You deserve love, and you're worthy of it. Because there's 9 billion people on the planet, but only one you. Nobody else on this planet is equipped with your mindset, your perspective, your way of viewing things, your education. And that makes you rare. And because you're rare, you're valuable. And I love that for you. And I love you for that. So please, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and do not forget that the logic's ready to be for everybody. We out of here.